And there it is. Welcome back
Hmm.
to another episode of Clean Breaks. This is the post fight, I think. We're a
Yeah,
couple of days later, whatever it is, but it's all good. It's all love. Jay, how you been?
pretty good, man. Can't complain. A lot going on in sport of boxing.
Word,
A
Word, Big Bird.
lot in the ring and a lot outside the ring. But yeah,
A
I'm good.
whole lot. I don't remember much of the card, so we're gonna get straight into it because we have a lot to talk about either on this episode or another one. Excuse me. So the card we're speaking of was over the weekend. What was that, May 29th?
Yeah.
May 30th or whatever it is. Devin Haney versus Jorge Linares. Um, I said it was going to be a boxing exhibition, which for most part it was. The thing that Devin did differently this fight was he stood in front of a guy and he pushed him back for the majority of the rounds. He was willing to engage. Um, and although Jorge Linares was tight, I could see him. He was trying to counterpunch while Dev was coming forward, but to not much effect or anything of the sort. He was getting pushed back for what, 9 rounds basically, and he didn't
For the
really
most part,
offer.
yeah.
Yeah, he didn't offer much resistance until the 10th round, where he put together a decent combination, and it caught Devin flush with two punches, a right hand, and then a left hook that followed.
Only because
Um,
Devin let him do
It is what it is.
it. Yeah.
But the only thing about it is because Devin is such a good boxer that people need to pick his game apart. So the internet was in a frenzy for like a couple of hours, and social media was in a frenzy because a certain group of fighters or some, to me, it's just chump shit. It's just childish shit where they're saying, "Oh, well, I could have knocked him out. I would have knocked Devin Haney out." I really don't believe that. I don't believe that anybody at that weight class could have knocked him out unless it would have been Tank or maybe even Teofimo Lopez. But I think that with his boxing acumen, I think it puts him in a position not to be knocked out. He took on the task of trying to push the fight to Jorge Linares. I don't know if he would have done that with a Tank Davis, Javante Tank Davis, or a Teofimo Lopez. I know for sure he probably would have went ahead and seen what Ryan Garcia was doing, because although Ryan Garcia may be nanoseconds faster than Devin's boxing acumen would just win that fight all the way around. I don't think there's nothing that Ryan Garcia could do with a Devin Haney. What say
Yeah.
you?
Styles make fights. I think he could fight however he wants to against all those guys. The only guy I think he would have to take a little bit more caution with is Tank, because Tank is so calculating. And when he calculates where he lands that big shot that can get you out of there. It's not that Ryan Garcia and Teo both have like knockout power. The difference is that I just don't believe in their ability to deliver that power against Devin Haney. I just don't. If we look at what Linares did, that was like the fifth or sixth punch at the end of a combination. I don't see Ryan Garcia or Teofimo Lopez, or for that matter, even Tank throwing 5-punch, 6-punch combinations. Now Tank is a little different because he can end it with one punch, and he has more success, and he shown us that he has the ability to calculate and triangulate to land that one punch. So I give him a little more credit, but I ain't giving Teofimo and Ryan Garcia shit. So that's just my personal opinion. I think they can box. I don't think they can outbox Devin, and I dare them to throw 5 or 6 punch combinations because I think they're going to be fearful of what comes back.
I, I,
Linares got.
I
Yeah,
don't
go
think
ahead.
he'll be. I don't think he'll be around enough for them in the vicinity of them for them to get more than 2 to 3 off.
Yeah, yeah. I don't even think. I don't even think they get more than 3 punches off.
Yeah.
I think Teo plays it safe and just gets 2 punches off, but looks for that one big punch. Ryan, because he's got fast hands, he may focus on a combination to try to clip. The problem is, I think Ryan, because he keeps his chin up in the air, he doesn't get his head off the line, he'll get knocked the fuck out before he even gets that third punch off. He'll get caught in between his combinations.
Correct.
Because out of all of them, he has the lousiest defense.
Yeah, his defense is he has porous defense. Is so many holes in his defense. Like you said, the chin is up. And because Devin Haney is such a good boxer, he'll be able to not just only use speed, but he'll recognize, okay, I can time this guy as well because he has that early Manny Pacquiao thing going on where he jumps in, he's on the center line all the time, and he has displacement wherever he is. So there's a quite a few holes in his game where you can just pick him apart. And we all know that the left hook is what he's going for, but you can neutralize a left hook with a straight right hand any day of the week. Um, you have to be you have to be superior in technique and skill to pull that shot off against someone like Devin Haney. And I don't think that he has what it takes currently to do that. Um, I gave Devin a B for that fight just because the things that he normally does, he did, and he got clipped. Not necessarily because he got clipped, but because Devin Haney isn't so much of a big puncher where he cuts off the ring and breaks guys down. But in this fight, that was something that he didn't necessarily execute to the highest degree. I guess I should say it like that. I don't think that I saw him mostly boxing and going forward and applying the pressure, but at times he didn't. When he had Jorge hurt, I should say, or he had him tired, he didn't go to the body enough. It's kind of like he got away from the body. He went back to the jab, like he was letting him off the hook, or he
Yeah,
was
he
trying to
definitely let
catch,
him off the hook.
or like he was trying to catch his own breath doing in between certain rounds. So there were times where I saw, well, maybe he's trying to catch his breath, but he definitely should have applied more pressure and went back to the body of Jorge Linares, and he got away from that. So it was just small things that he could have done. So I gave him a solid B performance. He did very well. Like I said, he
Yeah.
outboxed this guy for the majority of the fight, and he got clipped once and came back to kind of like get himself back in control during the 11th and 12th round. So salute to Devin Haney from me because I enjoyed the fight. I thought it was pretty cool to see him be a pressure fighter and take the fight to Jorge Linares. Jorge Linares looked very tight to me, man. Like I'm not sure what it was. I'm not sure if it was he didn't adjust to what Devin Haney was doing, or it was a speed, whatever it may have been, if it was a jab. But you know what I think it was? Like he said it after the fight, it was the jab. He should have done more with the jab. And I think that's what he was looking for Devin to go 1-1-2 or 1-2-1 or whatever it may have been. But Dev used a plethora. See, that's the thing about a boxer, having a deep, wide skill set. You can switch it up on a guy like that. And Jorge wasn't able to adjust. And by the time he caught him, it was a little bit too late. So for those who are saying that he got rocked or whatever, this is the same guy in Jorge Linares who knocked down Lomachenko. This is the same guy who has over 50 fights on his resume, and he has 5, now 6 losses. And his losses have come by way of knockout. Devin is the only one to, just go 12 rounds with him. But I mean, he's been in there with top quality competition. And I can't do nothing but salute Jorge Linares. I think he should still be considered as one of the top fighters in the division, because the other two guys that we just spoke on don't seem to be wanting to fight the top competition anyway.
Yeah, I gave Dev a B minus. I thought he boxed beautifully. I think he out the rounds, the rounds where he actually did box, which is 1 through 9, and even most of 10 until the end. And then obviously he went to the clinch a lot in 11 and clinched half of the 12th, and then kind of boxed at the end, the last half of the 12th round. To me, he dominated the fight. He carried the fight. Linares, hey, look, that whole interaction happened because Dev got defensively irresponsible at the end of a round. That was the only opportunity Linares really had. And Dev allowed that opportunity. So he had a lapse in his defense, a lapse in his defensive responsibilities and technique. And I'm pretty sure that's something that you can clean up. And the reason why I give him a B minus is because he is a pure boxer. He is a defensive specialist. So I'm going to carry a lapse in defensive responsibilities. That's going to hold more weight with me. Dev is not a big puncher, so I'm not, and he's only 22. He's young, coming into his strength. I'm not really much, I don't, turn on a Devin Haney fight to see a knockout, even though he has knocked some guys out. I think what I look for Dev is to keep progressing in the game, show different levels, add different layers, and to just continue to grow. To me, he made this fight. He could have stayed on the outside and went to his usual nature, which is the boxer who sticks and moves with that phenomenal jab. He's got one of the top 3 jabs in all of boxing. And, you know, you brought up what were the things that bothered Linares. I mean, it was 3 things. The number one thing was the jab. He couldn't do anything with Devin's jab. He couldn't counter the jab. He couldn't time the jab. The jab was hitting to the body. Devin moved the jab. It was hitting him everywhere. He couldn't locate it. So Linares wasn't able to get set to get his punches off to get close enough. Not because he was always worried about the jab. Number 2, Devin, he variated in his speed. It wasn't all the same speed. So Linares had a hard time tracking, trying to time him. Lastly, Devin wasn't predictable with how he would let his hands go with his jab. It wasn't always doubling the jab up or just simple 1-2. Well, Linares, he kind of figured out, okay, I know what's coming next. I know the combination coming. I can time it. I can counter it. I know what punch to counter with. So Devin kept him off pretty much, you know, off beat the entire fight.
Absolutely.
You know, but give Linares credit. He took a lot of punishment. He took a lot of blows. His face showed it. I think Devin hurt him to the body in the 6th and 7th round. I think Dev should have, because he's not the type of, it's not like a Tank. When Tank gets you hurt, he knows you hurt, and he's going to go to the well and get you out of there. That's another. I think the next fight you'll see Dev, as he goes back and look at the tape of this fight, from an offensive standpoint, he'll have a better recognition when he's hurt a guy.
Yes.
And I'm not worried about his ability to get back and hit that area. He's got the boxing ability. To me, it's just the recognition.
Yeah.
He's just so used to boxing beautifully and moving and being a defensive wizard and allowing his defense to create some offense. I think, you know, the 3 levels where I think he could really take his level up. And I think we're going to see it in his next fight, because I think his competition is only going to get better. Is being defensively responsible when the guy's that close. Make sure you are protecting yourself at all times and fight to the bell rings and keep yourself protected. Next is when you know recognition, when you have a guy hurt, or if you target an area, if a guy don't like in a certain spot, being able to get to that, recognize and get back to that spot. And then lastly, I mean, he was the biggest part of the fight that was crazy to me about Dev. Every time he was hitting him with the jab and throwing different combinations, Linares' only answer was a wild left hook that he missed time and time and time again. And Dev anticipated the return fire so much that he kind of did some dangerous things, right? Almost Roy Jones Jr.-esque, kind of a little out of fundamentals where he was pulling straight back. But he was able to gauge the distance to get in and out so quickly. If you're going to do that, I want to see, after you make the guy miss that wild left hook, make him pay. And what Dev didn't do when Linares was missing horribly and out of position with those left hooks, Dev wasn't in position to throw a punch back to make Linares pay.
Well,
to me,
go ahead. Go ahead.
No, to me, that's the next level I want to see him get to, because he makes a lot of guys miss.
Yeah.
And the next part of his game has to be is making guys miss and pay for missing.
Yeah. And that was a thing that I didn't even mention. That was the other thing. His transition to the inside, because that's a part of it. His transition stepping into the inside when the left hook was missing, or he would be on the inside. I didn't like the way he would transition to it and try to roll with punches or roll so he could get his off. His transition game, it looked like it could use some improvement. But again, these are minor things that he can tweak. He needed a fight like this to make sure that he could see it and see what he was doing right and wrong. There's nothing wrong with it. For everybody that's down to him about the way he performed, that says a lot about Devin Haney. The fact that you have to down him and downplay his actual performance when he won 9-10 rounds out of 12. Like, you're picking the very small things about him and going on social media and saying all this crazy shit about him. So that says a lot about you to go out there. And that's the other part, him getting hit, right? He got hit 19% by the shots of Linares, where he hit Linares that with damn near double the amount of punches.
But it's not just that, it's that he got hit by a shot he didn't see. That shot puts people on their ass. So let's take, for instance, you got the two guys talking all the noise. Let's say you got Teofimo who fought, Lomachenko. And Teal's, oh, my power, I can knock him out. I can do this. Teal, he didn't knock Lomachenko down. And Teal took a lot of punishment in that Lomachenko fight the last 6 rounds. And on top of that, guess what? Linares did knock Lomachenko down, and it was with a punch Lomachenko saw coming, and he put him on his ass. Lomachenko saw that straight right hand. He couldn't get out the way of it, and he was on his ass. Now for Ryan Garcia, Mr. Mental Health Issues, saying he knocked somebody out. Well, you fought Luke Campbell, a guy who's relatively pillow-fisted, and Luke Campbell put you on your ass.
Yes.
Guess what? Linares beat Luke Campbell, and he put Luke Campbell on his ass.
Facts.
Now, the only person who wasn't on their ass is Devin Haney. Granted, Teo didn't get put on his ass, but let's look at Teofimo's face compared to Devin Haney's face after the fights.
The only punch that hurt Devin was the headbutt, and he still went out
the
the party.
Headbutt and the right hand he didn't see. So if we look at who looked the worst, give all credit to Teofimo, phenomenal young fighter. He won that fight against Lomachenko. But let's be honest, anybody who is a real one knows that if Lomachenko gets started early, and give Teo credit for throwing those uppercuts, throwing those hard shots, maybe making Lomachenko have second thoughts for starting early. Give him credit for that. And I give him credit for that. Yep. But at the end of the day, he was getting his ass whooped the last 6 rounds. Yeah. Now that last round, he showed some grit. He dug deep. He kept Lomachenko off of him, which is what Linares couldn't do, right? Lomachenko comes in, he overwhelms you with these angles and this speed, similar to Pacquiao. But Teo was getting hit with clean shots repeatedly. Ryan Garcia was getting hit with clean shots repeatedly from Luke Campbell.
Yeah.
Devin Haney got hit with 1 shot for him being defensively irresponsible. So something that he could actually fix. See, so the way I look at it is, if I look at all these guys and I say, well, who can clean? Who has the least amount in their game to clean up? It's Devin Haney.
Yeah, we know that.
Right? Yeah, we know Ryan Garcia has the most to clean up because his head is always up, sticking up like a sore thumb. His head is always on the line when he throws his punches. And I get it because he feels comfortable in generating his power and seeing what he's doing, but that's very arrogant in thinking you're not going to be able to have something coming back. And that's going to be his downfall. And I think he knows it, which is why all of a sudden, I think thinking about it so much gave him mental health problems. And I think that's why he ducked out. And for all those people who want to get on me about mental health, you can kiss my ass because you don't have a mental health issue. You can watch a fight. And then all of a sudden you come out of nowhere with your mental health issues and say, oh, well, I can knock this guy out. That's
2 weeks to a month later, you back on the internet trolling and bothering people and everything.
Right. And so let's look at the consistent pattern with Ryan
and
Garcia.
saying that you're about to schedule another fight.
You call out Tank, you don't make the fight.
I'm gonna knock out Tank in 2
say you
rounds.
went to WBC and Devin Haney's at the fight, you say you'll fight Devin. And you're the mandatory. You and Fortuna are the mandatory, but you duck out of that. Then on top of that, you lie and say, oh, I'm not going to do either one of those fights because I'm fighting the legend of Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao's manager says, we never even had a conversation with these niggas. So you lie about Manny Pacquiao, and then you have a fight with Fortuna, and then you have, you got mental health issues.
Oh, now it's
so
something wrong.
The common denominator is competition. That's the constant. The variable is Ryan Garcia's balls, if he has some. And I'm just going to call his ass out, and I'm sick of, I respect fighters, but I don't like people who try to, they act, they think we're dumb. Like, Ryan Garcia needs to realize who he's talking to. If you want to come with all that cap, tell that cap, save that for the casual fans, right? When you're doing something on YouTube. But if you want to talk about boxing, keep that shit to yourself because it's like,
it's bullshit. We know.
It's bullshit. We know.
We know what's up. We sit and watch this stuff. We study it. We done it.
It's really, and it's really simple. Devin Haney's a WBC champion. Ryan Garcia, if you want to knock him out, you can go right over to Suleiman, right? Who's good friends with Canelo, and you cool with Canelo, and you can say, I want that fight. Because guess what? You like the WBC silver, interim, whatever all these little belts.
International,
you can easily go over there.
Diamond, yellow belly chicken.
Then go get the fight. Go make the fight then because it's easy for you to make. But the thing is, you ain't gonna make the fight.
Not
That's
at
why I
all.
don't respect him and Till in terms of when they talk about Devin Haney. I respect them as getting in the ring and putting in the work and being fighters, but I don't respect them when Devin Haney's name come out their mouth because they're not consistent. Same thing with Teofimo. Undisputed. You ain't undisputed, bro. It's a dispute. Devin Haney got the WBC belt. You knew when you fought Lomachenko that the franchise was a designation. Now all of a sudden you want to market yourself as undisputed because you beat Lomachenko. Oh, I beat the man. If the man ducks somebody and gives up a belt, he's not the man. And Lomachenko clearly ducked Devin Haney and took the franchise designation,
Oh yeah.
gave up the belt, which is what Devin Haney is holding. And Lomachenko has said this himself, that my belt, Devin Haney has it. So that right there, before you even fought him, Teofimo Lopez, that's a dispute. I don't care what the dudes on Fight Hype, I don't know what his name is, the guy to beat the man. Look, we got to be
I
real
don't
about
care
this
about
shit.
none of that shit. I don't care what I don't care what
Right.
Mauricio Suleiman said that Teofimo is a fucking shit. No, he not.
No, he's not. No, he's not. He's not. Suleiman just wanted some sanctioning fees,
That's
right?
all.
It's money. That's all it was.
That's
But
all.
we all know if you duck a guy and you say, okay, I'm going to give up the belt. So let me ask this question. So let's say, obviously, Deontay Wilder has a fight with Tyson Fury. Just give me an example, right? And he won an arbitration. Fury, you got to fight Deontay Wilder. Now, this is kind of what I think is going to happen. Fury's going underground. I'm very suspect of this fight even happening. His dad even said, throw the belt in the trash. Just drop the belt, give the belt up. So now if he gives the belt up and he goes and fights AJ, is that undisputed? Marcos Villegas? No, that's not undisputed because he ducked. He gave up the belt, number one. The belt is what makes you a champion. Having that super belt. But if you relinquish that because you don't want to fight a guy, then you're not the champion.
You're not the champion. You gave up your right to be champion. You gave up the seat.
Right. So him and AJ would not be for undisputed. The dispute would be the fact that he gave up the belt and then Wilder would have the WBC belt, which is why he got to fight Wilder if he wants him and AJ to be undisputed. And AJ got his own issues with Usyk because there's a fight that's been mandated, I think, by the WBA or something. So we need to quit all the cap and get out of our feelings and get out of our nationality and get out of our race. And we need to look at the facts. The facts are, now, unfortunately, if we look at the data, the majority of fighters that are being ducked happen to be Black. Those are just the facts. And so what we need these guys on YouTube producing this boxing content, is to quit acting like the rest of us are stupid. You get more followers from the casual fan because it's just more people who don't know than who do know. But respect the game. Teofimo is not undisputed. Ryan Garcia does not have mental health issues. I'm sorry, he doesn't. Not capping like that. He just doesn't. And I'm gonna say it. And all the people can come at me with the mental health thing all they want to. No, I know people who have mental health problems.
Yeah,
they don't
we know better. We know better.
We know better.
We know better.
He's mentally unhealthy enough.
When you're in a dark place, you're really in a dark fucking place. And I can attest to that.
Unhealthy enough to make all the right decisions to duck any competition. Notice that.
Ain't that something? You got out the way of you got out the way of Haney. You got out the way of
Tank.
Of Tank. You got out the way of
Fortuna.
Come on, man. And then you was able to make a Pacquiao fight. Now you have mental issues. No, the mental issue is that you scared.
Yeah.
You know what it is. And for people who are listening who may get angry, let me say this as well. There was a conversation on YouTube when he said he will fight Devin Haney. And Canelo was standing next to him and he shook his head and said, "You are not ready for that, my friend." It's out there. Unless they took it off of the internet, it was there. Canelo told him, "You aren't ready for that fight." Yeah. Even Oscar said that shit. Like, yo, you want that fight? Are you sure you're ready for that fight? Because I don't think you're ready. They all told him that. They all told him that.
Again, it's all cap. He's not going to make any fight. He said he got a fight coming up. He may come back. We don't know. To me, he's irrelevant. He shouldn't be talking. Teo can talk, but he needs to be focused on Kambosos. And Teo needs to understand, okay, you say Devin Haney's next. So as a man, all you got is your word. Let's see if you keep your word. Okay, you're going to fight Kambosos, and you say Devin Haney's next because there's a dispute. And Josh Taylor told you. The thing is, you got all these fanboys trying and playing all the politics, trying to make him feel good about himself. But the actual champions and real fighters do not agree with you.
Yeah.
You tried to be slick and you thought it was slick. And I'm going to put this out there. On some race shit, you thought Josh Taylor, because he was Scottish and white, he was going to ride with you. Oh, yeah, I'm going to ride with you, T.O., because that's just a black dude over there you got to dispute with. Who cares about Devin Haney? But big ups to Josh Taylor for being a real one, saying, no, dude, I earned this as a fighter and as a man. I am undisputed because the only two champions were me and Jose Ramirez, and I just beat Jose Ramirez. That makes me undisputed.
I beat him in the ring. In the ring.
And nobody else is saying anything about it. And neither me or Jose Ramirez ducked anybody. That's why we're in this ring. And he's calling you out. He's calling you out because he don't want to be affiliated with the fuckery. You got to earn it to get the fight with him if you want to be where he is. Until you haven't earned that, but you tried to skip the line and cut corners, and you only did that because Devin Haney's black. And I'm gonna say it, and it's the fact, it's the truth, and it's facts. Because you thought nobody would care.
Not just that he's black, but he's black and he's fucking gifted.
Well, he's black and gifted. Yeah, that's very good. He's black and he can beat you. He's a problem. So he's a problem. And so let's just be real. I'd rather you just be honest with it. Just
say I ain't ready.
Real.
Just say I ain't
just
ready.
Just say either I ain't ready or just say, but don't try to piss on us and call it rain. Like, you're gonna get hurt that way. You're gonna get hurt that way. And so what I mean by getting hurt is that you're gonna get hurt in a boxing game because you're gonna lose the respect from people who actually watch and care the sport. The casual fan does not care the sport.
They're gonna
put some money in your pocket and buy when they get the attraction.
Yeah.
But in terms of your legacy, that's people like us who actually care about the sport and watch the sport. And we see you capping like this and it's looking bad for your legacy. And what's even more disappointing is you actually have a lot of great ability.
You do. And I like Teofimo, but there's some things that he, just like every other fighter, they have to work on. But these cameras, man, these cameras, these microphones in y'all face all goddamn day, every day. Y'all say some of the stupidest, silliest shit. Instead of saying, you know what, I got to work on my talent. I got to make sure that I'm in a proper shape, and I'm not looking ahead to nobody because I got to focus on a Kambosos, so I got to focus on a Josh Taylor, or I got to focus on a Ryan Garcia, or whatever it is. Y'all do all these roundabout things for viewership and to have clicks and views and everything. We don't care about that. Like, that's cool when you building like fan base, but for the people that's gonna end up writing your resume and the history of this shit, we're watching and we're looking at and we're going, that's not boxing. That's not King of the Hill, and we want to see King of the Hill shit. And this whole Comedy Central shit that y'all run or trying to run on us, it don't work. So many fighters in the past have tried to do this, and everybody that's done it, they always end up submitting to the same thing. They always run into the same thing. That fighter that they can't whoop, and they duck them. It happens over and over again. We've seen it time and time again. So y'all need to quit this shit, man, and get out the way. Just get out the way. Say I'm not ready for the fight. Say this is not the proper time. I need a couple more fights for a fighter like Dev to get me into the right place. And we'll salute that. We'll say that give him time. Give him time. But this roundabout bullshit that y'all doing, this clownery, this buffoonery and fuckery that y'all doing, we know better than that. We've seen it before. This story has already been written, man. This is nothing new.
Yeah. And the more you talk down on somebody, the more it makes you look scared. So what I mean by that,
it does.
Notice when people ask Devin Haney, what do you think about Ryan Garcia, Tank, and Teofimo? He said, hey, all those guys are good fighters. So, and he's telling the truth. All you guys are good fighters. He hasn't fought any of you all. He sparred, some of you, but sparring is different from actually being in a fight. So he's going to reserve his judgment until he gets in the ring with you. That's what a professional does. You're a professional now, not an amateur. The next thing that he does is that he wants to sell the fight. Till you want money. Ryan Garcia, you want money. So if you want money, you don't tell people ahead of time your competition is trash. If you're telling me somebody's trash, why would I want to watch you fight that?
Why? because you're taking away
Even,
from
right.
him as an asset in the ring.
Yeah.
That why would I watch
let
him?
me give you a prime example. The guy that they idolized, Canelo, right? We all knew Avni Yildirim on the elite level wasn't at that level. We knew he was
A D fighter.
we knew this, right? But you never heard Canelo saying, "Oh, Avni, oh, he's trash, he's garbage." You know why? It's because Canelo's trying to sell the fight. So if you guys want to learn something, you want Canelo's money, you want his shine. Looks like you guys both want his ability to duck elite black fighters. Okay, that's fine. But at least learn one thing from Canelo, that you don't make bad business decisions by trying to trash your competition, because then what it does is it lowers the expectation and it puts a cap on your accomplishment, when you know damn well a win over Devin Haney would be huge. So to trash him is stupid. It's just a bad business move, and it's bad for boxing. And for those of us who know boxing, it makes you look full of shit and scared. So just stop with the cap, focus on what you're doing, keep it 100. Like, hey, Devin Haney's a competitor. He's a WBC champion. Hey, we get in the ring. Hey, be confident. Like, I think I'm gonna whip his ass. I think I'm gonna win. I have no problem with any of that. You can think that all you want to, and then just say, hey, man, I'll beat this guy. This elevates me even more and makes me the man, because
Right.
again, all these guys are good. That's the smart play.
He could have
That's the
easily
smart
said
play.
something like that. Hey, I beat the man. I beat
Right,
Lomachenko. So
right,
what is Devin Haney? He's a good
right.
fighter, and I can't wait to see him. But
Now, here's why
I
I know.
beat Loma.
Here's why people say, well, oh, they're young, they don't know any better. Yeah, they do. And I'm gonna tell you what race plays a component into it. He ain't calling Kambosos trash. He's not saying, oh, I'd have knocked Kambosos out, even though he didn't knock out Lee Selby or whatever. Oh, he couldn't do that. I could do this. You know why he did that? Because Kambosos is white. I'm just being real.
Tell the
I'm
truth.
just being
Tell the
100.
truth.
It's the
No,
truth.
that's what we gonna do.
And
That's what
so
we gonna
you're
do.
young. You want to hide behind that youth, but again, you're not keeping that same energy, and you don't have the right energy. So let's ask ourselves, who's more noticeable, who's been on the scene more, whose skills have we seen more? And this is no disrespect to Kambosos, but in this market, we see more Devin Haney. If you
Absolutely.
ask even the casual boxing fan, man, who do you have rated higher, Kambosos or Devin Haney? People are going to say Devin Haney. Now, Kambosos may whip your ass and impress all of us and then take the whole throne. We don't know. We're going to give him that respect. He's going to have to do it. And I like the way he's talking. I like the way he carries himself. But again, you guys are out here with this fuckery, on a nonsense, talking out the side of your neck with stuff that makes absolutely no sense. And then we see your energy towards Devin Haney, a really good black fighter, versus we don't even know what you think, or the general public, or even the boxing aficionados. They may have seen some Kambosos fights, but we can't say he's flashed more than Devin Haney, but you ain't talking trash about that. With Luke Campbell, oh, he's a former gold medalist. Oh, he's this and that, Ryan Garcia. He didn't say Luke Campbell was trash. Well, Luke Campbell got put on his ass by Jorge Linares. Devin Haney just beat Jorge Linares. So let's do this equation. Let's do this math. If Linares beat Luke Campbell and put him on his ass, and Devin Haney beats Linares pretty much in a blowout and don't get put on his ass, let's ask ourselves and ascertain who's a better fighter. Most people will say Devin Haney. Now, granted, styles make fights, but you can do some natural deduction, and just all the nonsense needs to stop, because it's actually hurting boxing.
And Devin hasn't taken much punishment.
He doesn't take any punishment. Like, not even much. He hasn't taken any punishment. The dude's face I've never seen him in any swelling. I haven't seen any cuts. I haven't seen bruised, like puffed up cheekbones. I haven't seen swollen eyes. I haven't seen him on his ass. Yeah. Guess what I have seen? Seen Ryan Garcia on his ass. Guess what I have seen? I've seen Tio cut and puffed up.
And let me say that about that Teofimo fight with Loma. It wasn't even the last 6 rounds to me, and I could be wrong, but to me, it feels like it was the last 3 rounds where he really just started getting touched up. And I don't know if he was expecting Loma to back off, or for Loma to sell out on one punch, which he's not going to do. Loma basically sets you up for 3 or 4 punches or more and tries to confuse you. But I don't know what he's expecting, but he took punishment in those last few rounds. And to me, I was like, it's Loma hitting you, he's touching you up or whatever. But it seems like he didn't want to press on the gas at times too to just get Lomachenko off of him either.
Because he couldn't. That's why he don't want the rematch. Because he couldn't get it. He couldn't do it. He couldn't.
That
Loma
says a
was
lot,
coming.
though, man. That says a lot about you guys. It says a
Yeah.
lot for all the angles that you guys take. And to Luke Campbell too, it was no disrespect to you what Devin Haney was saying. All he was trying to do was just state the fact that you got knocked down or lost to Jorge Linares, and Linares knocked down Lomachenko, and he had a decent fight with Lomachenko until he got knocked out. And there's just a comparison going on with Devin Haney when he was doing that. When you got in your feelings and you were trying to say all these different things about, or you were trying to make a statement on Twitter about Devin, it was kind of just like, you got into your feelings and you were a little emotional about that. I tell you what, if you feel that brave about it, why don't you go ahead and step up to Devin too? I'm sure if one of these guys continue to duck him, he's going to need another dance partner.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think so, even though Luke Campbell would be standing in a long line. In terms of, you got 4-2, I don't know. Those guys may keep ducking him or avoiding him. You're right. You're right. It may be that. I mean, if he
only
let the
person
guy
that's willing to step up for Dev would be Jorge and probably JoJo. That's it.
Yeah, Jorge, JoJo, and it would be a Tank, but Tank and Dev, I think, got to understanding that if we cross paths, it's going to be for all the marbles. It's going to be a super fight. It's going to be for big money.
We know that.
For for all black card, and it's going to be for it's going to be for like pound for pound supremacy.
Everything, yeah, everything.
Which is smart. So they're both building up their legacies, doing different things. They're doing it differently. I like what they're doing. They're both phenomenal fighters, and hopefully they meet somewhere down the line, most likely at 140. But we'll see. But these other guys, man, they got to stop the cap because they're setting themselves up for disaster. Like, if you TO and you lose to Kambosos, oh man, that looks bad. Ryan Garcia, you continue with the mental issues, that's a bad look. Or if you come back and you get put on your ass again, or you don't fight any competition, that's a bad look.
Your fans will love you, but the boxing community, the boxing community look at you and go, "What was all that shit you were saying?"
Yeah, well, we'll see you. We'll see you. And the most important thing is to have the respect of your peers.
Yeah.
You
guys you guys are undressing yourselves like right in front of us, and we're not amused. It's really just disappointing to see the way that things are going and see how you guys play it out. It's just easier to just give a guy or a boxer his credit for doing what he does without shaming him or trying to put him down, because it really just makes you look bad in the end. And everyone knows that Devin is a great boxer. We know that. We know his skill set. But the things that you all are doing and the way you're going about it, it makes me look at Devin more, not to pick him apart, but look at him and go, well, what are the scales really saying about the talent that we're looking at? Because why would you, if he's not that guy, go get the belt from him then?
Yeah, and here's the other thing. He's not going to do anything. They're also making a dumb move. If he's not that good, or if he has no power, get him now while he's 22.
That's what I'm saying.
Why wait till he becomes even more of a master boxer, or lo and behold, and oh man, what all hell break loose if he develops some power, knock it, with that boxing skill as he gets older. You better get this guy now. If you don't get this guy now, then you're gonna have a monster later. And so I just think they're just going about it the wrong way, and their tactics, I don't even think they think it's a strategy. It's really just tactics they're doing. It's just ass backwards.
Yeah, it is. To me, it's just high school shit. It's just like, gossiping and talking crazy. That those people on that side of the school or whatever, that group of people. But yeah,
right.
You guys are running out of time, and sooner or later, the truth is going to expose you, or you're just going to expose yourself, and we'll just see who will stand out and be on top in the end. And I think that, Teofimo versus Haney would be a great fight to see.
Great fight. That's a pay-per-view fight.
I would definitely love to see that fight.
The reason why him and Ryan are so dumb to be such haters is because you guys are all in your 20s, and you can literally be pay-per-view fighters in your early 20s. Look at that business opportunity.
And be done. And be done.
You know,
And be done.
instead, you know, you want to cap and you want to, who knows? I mean, Ryan doesn't even count, you know, mental health issues or if you're going to box or not. You guys are going to be continue again, bitching about your contracts, about your money, about your promotional situation. You know, Devin Haney's not complaining about nothing. He got his own promotional company and
Been a millionaire.
He just finished his contract up with Matchroom and DAZN, and you know he's going. Him and his dad and his team's going to renegotiate.
Been a
And they
millionaire.
fulfill their obligation. You know, Teal, you got to go on Triller. You can't even get Bob Arum, and you signed with Top Rank. You can't even make that happen. So before you go talking about somebody else, you need to get your house in order. You need to get your business straight, and quit worrying about somebody else and focus on yourself.
Facts.
And same thing with
and Devin even congratulated him when he got the deal with Trill. Like, congratulations, welcome to the Millionaire Club, my boy. I remember him saying that. He posted. I was like, you know what?
Yeah,
that's some gentleman player type shit. That's what you're supposed to do.
It's some gentleman stuff, but you know, Dev fought, and then he got paid, and it went in his pocket. Now, Teofimo's gonna fight on Triller, and he gonna have to cut Bob Arum a check. That fight ain't on ESPN. That fight is not being promoted by Top Rank. So you got Top Rank not taking on any of the risk. Nope, you got Tail taking on all the risk.
They just
but he just getting a check.
Cut. Yep.
I mean, 20. That's called getting pimped, right? So at the end of the day, you know, doing all this stuff, capping and you know, all this ducking and dodging and talking crazy, it's just putting a spotlight on you. And now we looking at you, and now we dissecting, well, what's really going on with you?
Yeah. You got paid what, 3-4 million? We'll just say 3. Let's just say 3. Bob gets 600,000 for doing nothing.
Yeah. So let's ask ourselves: more people watch Triller or ESPN?
Not only that, but you also had to move the fight just because of what Floyd did. So
yeah, and then on top of that, you got mad because Floyd just shitted on you, and now you're talking about got Floyd's name coming out your mouth. It's like Teal just making all the typical like junior high school reactive in your feelings moves, and it's not smart.
It's not.
It's not smart, man.
But we're gonna get off of them and just say salute to Devin Haney. Appreciate the May 29th fight. It was a good fight. I enjoyed it thoroughly. You dominated for the majority of the rounds. Great performance. I can't take nothing away from you. There are things that you have to work on. You know it. You saw it. And see you on the next fight. Hopefully he fights what, boss? Maybe October, November, something like that, because he wants to continue to fight for the rest of the year. Salute to Haney-Linares, who I still think is a top fighter. I don't think the rest of these bums are gonna. Well, I shouldn't call them bums. The rest of these fighters, or maybe the ones that we're talking about, are gonna take up a fight.
Linares is top 5 in the lightweight division.
Yeah,
number 1 because he's rugged. He possesses a very good skill set, high level skill set, and he also is willing to fight any and everybody.
Yeah.
So you can look as good on YouTube all you want to, but if you're not actually getting in the ring, fighting anybody, it doesn't mean anything.
I remember when someone was first showing me clips of Ryan Garcia, and he was like, look at his speed, bro. Is he fast? I was like, yeah, he's fast, but who is he fighting? Speed means nothing. Like, everybody saw what Roy Jones did to a myriad of fighters. It wasn't just in a mirror, because we didn't see Roy Jones in the mirror of boxing. We saw him in fights hurting people. And his power is speed, and it's lightning quick, and it strikes and it stuns the shit out of you. So these are things that we saw, and we haven't seen that out of this guy, Ryan Garcia. So they have stuff to work on. But salute to Devin Haney, man. You're doing an excellent job. Continued success in everything that you do, you and your dad, and we'll move on from there. Anything else you want to say? Because we're done with that. There's another thing that we need to.
Are we gonna do that on this one, or we gonna have to do another one?
No, we gonna have to do another one, man. We could do it right after this, or we could do it another day.
Oh yeah, we definitely have to do it another day. No, that's all I'd say, man. Salute to Devin Haney and Bill Haney again. Great examples of the community. You know, they come out of Oakland, father-son combination. not just what he's doing in the ring, but salute to them for what they do outside the ring.
Yes.
And how they handle themselves as professionals.
Yes, their
And I
business
think,
acumen. I love it. How they're
yeah,
together
and
and
just
everything.
salute to Bill for raising a young man who is professional, and carries himself the right way, and to me represents the sport the right way. And then more importantly, just taking care of their business, man. I just
Yeah.
think that's the part that's extremely important. And
Yeah.
I salute to both of them and their team for doing that.
Do you think there's anybody else in 135 that Devin can get before the year is over with?
It's supposed to be Tio. According to what Devin said, I'm here. It's a dispute. Even Josh Taylor, look, everybody's calling for it.
Everybody said, and he even sent Chris Mannix or whatever the lame's name is, saying Devin is food or whatever. But yeah, that's all that talking shit.
So,
like we
so
don't.
To me, that's got to be the next fight. Now, if that fight doesn't happen next, we know it's not on Devin Haney. See, it's all on Tio. So if it's not Tio, then it makes him look even worse. So let's say it's not Tio. If it's not Tio, we know it ain't Ryan Garcia.
It would have to be the winner of this mandatory, right?
It would have to be the winner between Fortuna
and Jojo
Diaz. That's who he would. If I was putting my money on everything, even with Tio doing all the cap, I'll put my money on Jojo and Fortuna fighting Devin Haney before he does, because I think him and Ryan Garcia are both hoping that somebody gets to Devin Haney to kind of, so they can have an excuse to stay away from him.
Yeah.
And so I think Tio does a Ryan Garcia, but actually follows through with it. I think he takes Kambosos, and then he finds another guy where he says, well, I can make more money over here, and that's going to be his excuse. And he goes and he does that. Or, Errol had the great hashtag. It's going to be the hashtag from now on. Hashtag blame Bob. Bob is going to have an issue with the fight being made. So he's going to have a scapegoat one way or the other. And my money would be that the fight doesn't happen and that Devin Haney has to fight the winner between Jojo Diaz and Javier Fortuna.
Yeah. With either fighter, it'll be a good fight for him.
It'll be a great fight. Both those guys are a huge challenge. They're southpaws. They possess good power, good speed. They both have high boxing IQ and ability. Both of them have been, rugged competitors.
Yes.
They're worthy to be in the ring. And I think that would, again, either one of those guys with Devin Haney would be a great fight. I would definitely watch that fight.
Hell yeah, I would definitely tune in for that fight. That would definitely be a good fight. Jojo Diaz always comes to fight, and so
Fortuna does too.
Yes. Yeah. So does Javier Fortuna. Just out of nowhere, this just came to mind. Question mark: where the hell is Tevin Farmer?
Chilling, man. Chilling. I have no idea what exactly he's doing, but he may be working on stuff. But
after that Jojo Diaz fight, man, we haven't heard nothing from him, and that's been like what, 2 years?
Yeah, it's been a minute. I don't know. I don't know, man. I can't think about it until he resurfaces. But when he does resurface, he's gonna start at a much lower level opponent to get his feet wet. I don't see him hopping into the deep end of the pool when he comes back.
I don't either, but I still think a guy like him would still give a Ryan Garcia some problems.
Oh yeah, because he can box. He can give everybody problems when he's at his top of his game, because he's a really, really, really high level boxer.
Yeah. When he tries to trade, that's where he gets into trouble.
Yeah, high level boxers are way more difficult to deal with than just a big puncher, right? Because big punchers generally is that one puncher, that one hand you got to look for. That's easier to take away that one thing. When you have a guy or a young lady who's a really phenomenal boxer, that's a lot of tools in that toolbox to have to deal with, and it just makes the night that much more difficult when you're fighting them.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I think that's it for us, Jay, man. I ain't got nothing else to say or talk about.
Likewise.
I think we're gonna go in here and watch this goddamn game and chill out.
That's what I'm about to finish doing.
Yeah, cool, appreciate you, bro.
No doubt. To the next one tomorrow.
On the next,
I know what you want to talk about.
Yes, on the next one, ladies and gentlemen, we got to discuss some shit that's been happening in the world of boxing. The boxing has been crazy over the last week or two, man. Like, people are saying some of the most ridiculous bullshit out here, but I think we're gonna talk about these Jose's, man. Jealous ones still envy. We're gonna talk about them. Until the next one, we out.
Peace.